Hi friends, you're tuned in to Legal Means Business, a podcast by Leeway. We're joined by some amazing guests who help us identify how to take your legal function and career to the next level. I'm your host, Steph Smith, and we're talking all things legal ops and legal tech, as well as other critical skills needed to help you thrive in the evolving in-house arena. Don't forget, you can watch us on YouTube or listen on the go through Spotify or Apple Podcasts. If you enjoy the conversation, please do hit subscribe and let us know what you think on social.
So key in all of this is finding mentors or people who are aligned with you. It is very hard to kind of advance or make progress within a company if you don't have someone kind of not necessarily working on your behalf, but someone who takes your interests to heart and believes in the work that you do, the work product that you're able to produce, whether it's your communication skills, your ability to influence decisions. If you don't have these people, find these people. That has been critical to every part of my career and continues to this day.
What does a typical legal career look like? Newsflash, there is no strict career path anymore. There are now so many options for those with a legal background. Traditionally, legal professionals would start their careers in private practice. But now we're seeing more and more in-house lawyers, legal ops consultants, legal recruiters, legal tech founders, legal content creators, and so much more. One person who's a believer in following what feels right is the head of legal for APAC at eBay, Stephen Mann. Stephen has experience working both in private practice and in-house at the likes of Uber and Yahoo, and of course now eBay. Throughout his career, Stephen has been challenged to choose which career path is right for him. And there's a lot that goes into these decisions. In this episode, Stephen shares how he's made decisions throughout his career, as well as how you can carve your own career path in today's market. Hi, Stephen. Thank you for joining us on the podcast. How are you doing?
Great. Thank you for having me.
Oh, no, not at all. I know we spoke before and you have some super interesting experience and thoughts on various things. So I'm looking forward to diving into that with you a little bit today. I suppose the conversation today we're going to be talking about, I think, will be quite important and top of mind for a lot of people, especially either after the pandemic and, they've kind of been contemplating their careers and the different paths that they could take, but especially for lawyers and in-house lawyers who I suppose tend to have a bit of after law school, there's kind of a particular career path, I would say maybe, that's expected. I don't know if you would agree with that or not.
Yeah, I think so. Certainly at the time that I qualified and started practice, there was a fairly, I wouldn't say rigid, but a fairly common path, whether it's staying in private practice, putting in your 7, 8, 9 years, making partnership, making equity partner. Of course, there's always the in-house path as well, but that was fairly predictable. I think most people want to get 3, 4, 5, 6 years in private practice before making a jump in-house. I think the options now are just so much more than, 20 or more years ago when I started my practice as well. And I think that is both very exciting, but also could be quite confusing for people on thinking about how they want to chart their career path.
Yeah, totally. You're right. And I guess because there's more options now, I presume there's no one right career path. So I guess it'd be good to explore today how you can carve your own career path, I suppose, because I guess you've done quite well at that to get to where you are today. So when did you realize that you needed maybe more alignment in your career, I suppose?
Sure. So my path started out pretty conventionally. I worked in private practice with a law firm, and I was getting into my 6th, 7th, and into my 8th year And at that time, you're typically thinking about, do I want to make a partnership? Is this something I want to do with my career? Or is there something else? And at that point, partnership wasn't something that drove me, like a lot of people within my cohort. They were just hell-bent on, I need to make partnership by this time, and I need to make equity partner by that time. I've never been quite as rigid as that. So at about that time, my first child was born at 7 years within the practice. And I was chasing that, I think, mythical work-life balance. And at that point, we were fortunate enough to have done some work for Yahoo at the time. And I got to know some of the people there, and a role had opened up. And I was asked by Yahoo's general counsel for Asia at that point if I would be interested. And I thought that this is probably the right move for me at this point in my career. I knew some of the people within Yahoo. I knew some of the work that they were doing. Of course, I knew the company as well. So that was a relatively easy decision for me at the time, and absolutely the right one as well.
Yeah. And what were the kind of key factors or key considerations in that decision?
So for me, like for a lot of people in a corporate practice, it was just very, very long hours. So I know a lot of people talk about the push and the pull in a decision. So is it the new opportunity that is pulling you that is stronger than the push? At that point in my career, it was probably equal push and pull. Again, with a newborn at home, I was feeling like I'm not going to be able to spend as much time as I would want to with my newly enlarged family at that point. And again, because making partnership wasn't a huge thing for me, moving in-house, working for one company, kind of one client, certainly had its appeal as well. You know, prestige and all of that also play into it. And I think that's why a lot of people want to make a partnership by a certain age. And perhaps going in-house might not hold that as well. But again, that wasn't a big driver for me. I was hired in as an individual contributor just to help out our general counsel, Yahoo's general counsel in the region at the time. So it was, you know, a combination of factors. You know, money always plays a role in your considerations, especially if you're starting out a family. But again, if I could make enough to support my family, then kind of the balance of being able to spend more time with my family was something I was willing to do at that point.
I mean, it's often something I guess people shy away with in outward conversations or sharing with the world. But I guess, you know, I think we used the phrase last time of chasing the dollar, I suppose.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. It can be easy to fall into that trap, I suppose, especially when working in private practice, I suppose. And maybe kind of
for sure. I mean, there is a mindset, and I think maybe it's the old investment banker days where I know that I can't last long in this business, so I'm going to work as hard as I can for as long as I can. How long can I hang on for? Make as much money as I can. And then I will find something else to do. And I hope that lawyers are a bit more thoughtful about their careers and thinking about long-term contentedness with what they're doing and feeling that they are continuing to grow and not just being guided by the dollar figures.
Yeah, exactly. Cool. So you made that move, I suppose, and you were obviously thinking about better work-life balance, kind of focusing on one client and things like that. Did those priorities stay with you throughout to where you are today, I suppose?
Yeah, they do continue to stay with me, but the myth is, I think it is a myth of work-life balance. Maybe that's not fair. There is a better ability to prioritize your work. So when you're in private practice, if you've got 4 deals that are all in various states, each one demands your full attention, or at least the client believes should demand your full attention. Within an in-house position, you can match your work against what the company's overall priorities are. And if something finally gets on the burner on high heat, you can speak to other people within your company, I've found, and you can prioritize. And, since I've been managing teams for quite a while now, I don't want to recreate the law firm experience in-house as well. So I do want people within my team in the same way that I want to be able to speak to my manager and speak about, workload, bandwidth, and what should I be concentrating my time on. There's only 24 hours in a day. So what should we be focusing on?
As you progress through your legal career, you'll likely find that certain aspects of a job become more and less appealing. When it comes to making a change in your career, you'll want to think about both the push and the pull factors. Push factors will make you want to leave your current position, whereas pull factors are the things that drive you to want to move into a new position. You will subconsciously have both push and pull factors, so you need to be careful when making a change that you've considered both. As, for example, you wouldn't want to take a new job simply because your current job is terrible, only to find out that you equally hate this new job too. To make a well-informed choice, take a step back and really think about both your push and your pull factors. Why do you want to leave your current role? And what is it about the new role that excites you? If the latter outweighs the former, then it's likely to be a good decision. And what was your time at Yahoo like, and when did you know was the right time to leave?
Yeah, Yahoo was a great experience. I met so many good people, many of which with whom I am still in contact with. And I spent 8 years at Yahoo, and by the time I left, I was head of legal for the APAC region. And, as I think back, I think very fondly about my time at Yahoo. And, when I was getting to, again, I seem to have an 8-year period where I think that maybe a change is in order. At that point, I had been head of legal for the Asia-Pac footprint for, I think, 3 years at that point. So from a climbing within our corporate structure standpoint, unless I was willing to make a move to another country or perhaps back to HQ, that was the position that I would be in as long as I was with the company. And that was okay. I had no problems with that. But we had a lot of management changes during the latter years while I was there. Some of them, might not have been what I would have chosen for the company. I think for a lot of multinationals, when you're out in one of the foreign offices, one of the international offices, you never feel like you get the attention that you deserve or should have. And I admit there's probably some of that as well. Part of it was, I don't know that I was learning as much as I might in another setting as well. And at that point, an opportunity came up with Uber. An ex-Yahoo lawyer was one of the first lawyers over at Uber, and they started looking for their first lawyer in Asia. And so Uber, I hadn't even heard of the company when that person reached out to me. So I did a lot of research. I've always been very conservative with my career and, slow and steady. It's a marathon, not a sprint. And Uber was a startup and certainly the very early stages of a startup in Asia, with many cities not having even launched yet when I was considering the role. But I had put in, enough time both in private practice and at Yahoo. And I thought, I've been slow and steady. I put in my hours. And someone I spoke with, I forget who it was, said, you have earned yourself the opportunity to take a chance on this, because what's the worst that could happen? You spend a year, a couple of years there. If the company, the venture as a whole doesn't work out, or it's not right for you, you haven't lost anything. All you would have gained what you would have gained is experience and have
Mm-hmm.
met a new circle of people and kind of cast your network out even wider. So
Mm-hmm.
with that in mind, I did take up the role with Uber as their first lawyer in Asia.
Yeah, amazing. And before we dive a little more into that, so you, as you said, you did have quite a long 8 years or so with Yahoo, and during that time, you progressed and became head of legal for APAC. How did you kind of carve your career path within Yahoo, within one company, and what was that like?
Sure. I've been super fortunate in my career, and I acknowledge that, every day as I think back on what I've done and what I want to do within my career. So, key in all of this is finding mentors or people who are aligned with you. It is very hard to kind of advance or make progress within a company if you don't have someone kind of not necessarily working on your behalf, but someone who takes your interests to heart and
Mm.
believes in the work that you do, the work product that you're able to produce, whether it's your communication skills, your ability to influence decisions. If you don't have these people, find these people. That has been critical to every part of my career and continues to this day as well. And in turn, I try and be that person for people who are looking for coaching, mentorship, or guidance. I know Pierre has been on this podcast as well, and he's
Yes.
also, I'm singing, pages right out of his book as well on mentorship and
Yeah,
guidance
great.
and coaching and all of these kind of softer skills. So I would say, the work is the work. If you have the ability to do it, then kind of put that to the side as you look for people who can help you guide your career, and not in an annoying kind of way. I guess there are a bunch of ways that you could do it, and it's not speaking to anyone who's at VP level or senior director level and above and trying to get as much face time as possible. The FaceTime and the dialogue will be a byproduct of the actual relationship that you have. It shouldn't come the other way around. I think it
Mm.
may take a little bit of overcoming whether you're, a little bit fearful of approaching senior people and maybe a
Mm.
little bit intimidated. So it may take some guts at the beginning to open the conversation. But I think they need to be well thought out and kind of rehearsed and know what you want to say and what you want to get out of the conversation, and then see if the relationship builds out of that. So that has been critical for me for every part of my career, and probably really started at Yahoo as well.
And then, as you said, you kind of ran your course perhaps at Yahoo and took this bit of a leap, I suppose, to join Uber, a startup that was in the early days at that stage. Could you
Yes.
in a kind of what's the worst that could happen type attitude,
Sure.
perhaps? So,
So I
could you tell us a
felt
bit about
like
that?
yeah, I felt like the worst had happened for the first probably 6 months. It was an extremely challenging environment, and I honestly didn't know what I was signing up for. I think
Mm,
because we had so many regulatory issues, criminal issues, assaults, sexual assaults, things happening all over on the platform with allegations against drivers being upset with us, taxi associations attacking drivers or storming our offices. And these became just a very regular occurrence. So I will
storming the
admit that
offices.
yeah,
Wow,
certainly in India, in China, Hong Kong, we've had issues as well.
goodness.
So there were issues of personal safety as
Mm,
well through Uber, the Uber days, the restraining
wow.
orders, and staff being arrested. And so I needed to learn very quickly about an area of law that I had no familiarity
Hmm.
with. And I think in the first 6 months that I was with Uber, almost every day I woke up and thought, I want my old job back. I wish that I hadn't
Oh.
made this choice because I felt that bad. And had I known what I
Hmm.
was getting into, I probably wouldn't have signed up.
Hmm.
But in the same breath, I would say I'm glad I didn't know what I was signing up for, because it had turned out to be one of the best professional experiences in my life as well. I, again, forged great relationships with people within my legal team. I built a team of just myself to 31 lawyers within 15 months or so.
Wow.
I remember interviewing every single person who joined the team as well. So I was very, very close to all of them. But I just want to go back just a half a thought back on finding a good mentor, because I joined Uber, I think it was August, September, maybe October. And by Christmas, I spoke with our general counsel, Ron Bell, back at Yahoo, who was still there, because I wanted just to bounce things off him and just have kind of a sanity check. And secretly, I was hoping that he would give me my old job back, honestly, if I'm being truthful. And he offered some great advice that, Stephen, they hired you for a reason. You need to believe in those reasons. You need to give it 12 months. You need to give it a year. If you leave at this point, you're not even giving yourself the chance to not prove yourself, but to demonstrate that you're able to handle this situation. And we spoke, it was Christmas Day, because I know that I was working that day. Ron was also very, very busy. He was also working that day. So neither of us were able to enjoy time with our family yet over the holidays. But he offered some great advice, and he told me to stick with it, and that I wouldn't be doing myself justice if I were to throw in the towel. So I did stick with it. And, Ron is a great friend and a mentor, one of those people who has helped guide me through my career. So, with that, I stuck it out, managed to hire a team and manage them. And it got to be more corporate, I think, by the time that I left. And I spent just over 2 years with Uber. At that point in my career, there were some personal safety issues that if I didn't have a family at that point, I would probably be game for the fight and hunker down. But certain personal issues caused me to think, maybe this isn't right for me at this stage of my career. And again, I was very fortunate to have someone from eBay, internal recruiting, I guess, who was combing through LinkedIn, reach out to me and to see if I were interested in a position with eBay.
Yeah. Sounds like quite a dramatic journey, I suppose. But as you say, one where you did learn a lot from a professional perspective as well. So my
Absolutely,
goodness.
yes.
And you ended up there. You ended up staying with Uber for around 2 years or so. You said,
Yeah, just
so
over 2 years. Yeah,
you managed to stick it out much longer than you first expected.
absolutely, yes. There is a thought, and my experience is not unique within Uber, because a lot of people find it a very hard grind. But everyone's told me internally, 6 months is when you kind of have a mind shift. And maybe it's because you've gotten used to the pressures and you've grown your network internally. I think part of it is the equity that is offered. You're closer to your first vesting of stock as well. So you'd think, if you leave within the first 6 months, you think, oh, I'm not, I didn't really get into it. I'm just going to call it a complete write-off. But when you get closer to a potential reward, then you feel like sticking it out. That wasn't really the factor for me. I think it was bringing on a couple of lawyers on the team and, sharing the experiences and the work that we needed to do.
Change is never comfortable. Lawyers in particular are prone to liking certainty and having clarity over the future. This can make it difficult to have confidence in your decisions when it comes to career moves. But those who have walked the walk will tell you that often growth happens outside of your comfort zone. While this advice isn't for everyone, and of course you should get out of there if there are some fundamental issues in your new role or company, here are some tips that I hope will offer some comfort when it comes to starting a new position. 1. Give it time. Anything new takes time getting used to, so allow yourself time to learn and adapt. 2. Have a positive mindset. At first, many people find themselves regretting a career move, but this emotion itself can prevent you from experiencing the good aspects of your new move. So try to stay positive and find opportunities in any challenges. 3. Go easy on yourself. Of course, you're not going to know everything and understand the lay of the land from day one. You'll probably feel a bit out of your depth, and that's normal. So try to accept these feelings and be kind to yourself. And then, as you say, you had an opportunity with eBay almost land on your plate through LinkedIn. What was the kind of decision-making process to taking that job? Was it an easy one, considering everything that was going on?
It was, again, I've been very fortunate. It was relatively easy at that point. I saw eBay as kind of in between what Uber and Yahoo might be, close, maybe not quite as crazy as what Uber was during those days, and perhaps a little faster paced and more happening, given it's in the e-commerce space as well, even though eBay and Yahoo, I think they were both established within a year or two of each other, mid-90s companies. So they kind of grew up together in Silicon Valley. So what was really appealing about eBay is that it is the original platform play, and it's the platform upon which Uber, Airbnb, and a lot of great companies have been based off of. So I thought this is really interesting for me to get to the company that kind of started it all and playing the intermediary, joining buyers with sellers or riders and drivers or property owners and people looking for a place to stay. So that was very compelling for me. And also, as I grew older and more thoughtful about my career, I wanted to support a company that I believed in, and not that I didn't believe in the other companies I worked for, but it became more important to me to support a company that was helping out small and medium-sized businesses, maybe mom and pops or entrepreneurs who are looking to supplement their income. And so there was an angle of that with Uber as well, drivers who were doing it part-time to supplement their income. I think eBay also does a great job of providing opportunities and allowing people to develop a business where they might not otherwise have been able to.
Yeah, exactly. So at that point in your career, would you say you were looking for something maybe more aligned to your values?
Yes, definitely. I think most people who've been in legal for a while, you get calls from headhunters every once in a while, and they will bring potential opportunities to you. There are some that I would dismiss outright because the company just wasn't a right fit for me. You don't want to be I believe that for every company you work for, you're an ambassador for that company. You are a spokesperson and a representative of that company. So if you, in your heart and in your head, aren't aligned with the product or the services that your company offers, you're not being fair to yourself. You're not being fair to the company, because I don't think that you'll get the best out of yourself, and you won't be able to give the best to your company as well. So that has become quite important to me. I think as I watch my girls grow up, and I think about the world and how hopefully I and they can leave it in a better place than when they stepped into it.
And do you think, obviously, you've kind of realized that as you've worked through your career, do you think that's like a luxury that you can have later on in your career, or can you think about these things from the outset?
Oh, I think you can do it right from day one. I know that, as you graduate from law school and you're qualified, and there are a lot of shiny new opportunities out there, especially with cryptocurrency and NFTs and this, there are so many different fields within the legal profession. Now, I think you can still be principled in how you approach your career and how you want to chart it. I do know people who have worked in big tobacco. It's not a company, those are not the companies that I would support. But, are those the companies that you would want to start going down the path of? Because once you start down a track, it's momentum. Bodies in motion want to stay in motion. Bodies at rest want to stay at rest. So even early decisions will have a kind of a flow-on effect through the rest of your career.
Yeah, that's a great point. And what would be your advice on how a lawyer can carve the right career path for them, I suppose?
Yeah, so I've been thinking about this because I thought that this might be how we kind of start to tie up our podcast here. I think what stands out for me, and as I have a team of lawyers, and I've worked with senior lawyers and junior lawyers, and looking at my own career, is sometimes having patience. So besides the mentorship and finding key people to help you along, who are willing to help you along, it's having patience. And I think especially in today's world, where there are a lot of startups, there are a lot of ideas, there are a lot of companies, only a few will do very well. Most will kind of come and go, unfortunately, but that's the way it works. So I think, and of course, I'm kind of tempered by my own career, and I've been very fortunate, but, put in the time, do good work. Someone will recognize it, and opportunity will come up. Be open to the opportunities, anything that comes your way, but show some patience, have some patience as well. Because, I've been in the legal profession coming on 30 years now. And, hopefully anyone listening will have a very long and kind of fruitful career where they're content as well. So take your time. Don't make your career decisions based on emotion. Very rarely gain by making a snap decision and doing something right away. And whether it's quitting a job and you get to throw the resignation letter down on your manager's desk, and maybe you don't get along with that person, that may feel good for the moment, but very rarely will be the right kind of move for you. Be thoughtful, be patient, be open to opportunities, and then see what comes your way. I know you need to forge your own path and make your opportunities. I've always been just a little bit more laid back than that. I haven't been hyper aggressive with goals, and I need to do this by that age. And I think that if you do good work and you like the people with whom you work, then good things will come your way.
Yeah, I think that's absolutely great advice. And it's really great to hear as well the other side of the coin, because I think you're right. There's a lot around forge your own path, be hyper proactive and things like that. So
yes.
It's great to represent the other side of the coin, which I think is much more common than society would maybe have us believe.
Yeah, it doesn't get the hype. I mean, being patient but it is a marathon. It's not a sprint. We all want to preserve ourselves, and we don't want a resume, a CV that is too disjointed, where every 18 months or so, by the time you're 10 years post-qualified, you've got 8 or 10 positions. Starts to look fairly messy as well. And maybe I'm old school in this way, but I think it's a valid school.
Exactly. And they do say, as you were saying, you were quite lucky in your career with these opportunities. Yes. But I guess they say luck is when preparation meets opportunity. So I guess, like you were saying, do good work, someone will recognize your work, and then the opportunity lands on your plate. So
that's right.
It's maybe you've been more proactive than you realized, maybe, by doing such great work. So
yes.
Yeah, amazing. Well, I don't know if there's any final points you'd like to add around kind of carving your own career path or anything like that, but I think we've covered a lot, and thank you so much for sharing your experiences.
No, thank you very much. This is a lot of fun.
Yeah, definitely. Thank you. But yeah, great to hear your experiences, your journey, and your thoughts on how people can apply that to their career paths as well. So thank you so much for taking the time to share it.
Thank you so much for having me.